The following conversation discusses a number of topics. They include, but are not limited to, looking up from the well-traveled path in life, setting yourself up for financial success, the strength in being kind, reinventing yourself and your values, and much more. You can check out the timestamps below in the description for specific time markers. This episode features Ryan Jakeman. Jakeman is a former student athlete and was captain of his college football team. He currently owns a real estate investment company with his cousin and is currently working at a brokerage firm called PHP Agency as a life insurance agent. Jakeman specializes in helping families create and grow wealth for retirement. Jakeman also loves connecting with like-minded individuals who are striving to get better every single day, with physically, mentally, and spiritually. If you enjoy this conversation and have some utility and takeaway from it, I please ask you to rate and subscribe at Overcoming the Divide on both Instagram and Twitter. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Ryan. Pleasure to have you here today, man.
Thanks for having me, Dan. I'm excited.
Yeah, likewise. And been a long time coming. We've been on the phone a few times, texted in between, and I think this is definitely the time to really, have on the record, have a good conversation regarding personal and financial development, how that looks in your life, but also how that can, say, transpire in someone else's life. So my first kind of question for you is, how did you arrive here? How did you kind of get to where you are today? What did that look like? What are some of the pain points, and where are some of like the achievements in there as well?
Yeah, for sure. I'll start off with a little bit of background. So, growing up, basically, I was told the basically like everyone else, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a good paying job, and then live your life from there. But in college, my freshman year, I was didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I sort of had an epiphany of like basically just I wasn't happy with what I was doing. I didn't really know what I wanted to do or what I was doing. I wasn't happy with it in the beginning, but my cousin told me to read this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it changed. That was the epiphany for me. It changed everything. It changed my perspective on what I want to do with my life, changed my perspective on the education system and how we're taught and how different people learn through different ways. It also taught me about personal finance, investing your money, saving as much money as you possibly can for on taxes. So that was the big eye opener for me. In short, just going through things in life that you feel lost, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So that's really where everything started for me. Started to turn around. So I'm here. I am today. I'm continuing to keep moving the needle forward.
Nice. And to speak into like feeling lost, I think that's something that most people feel today in some capacity, whether it's in their relationships, with their job, or just in their day-to-day activity routine. What what made you feel lost? Like what really came around? It's like, this isn't what I should be doing. Was there kind of like a thing over time, or a road to Damascus moment?
It was a number of things. It was lack of clarity, lack of purpose, lack of direction, lack of goal setting. There were so many things that were wrong in my life and things that I haven't thought of before
Mm-hmm.
until that time happened where I started to think deep down as an adult for the first time. In the first 18 years of my life, it was all have fun, be social, enjoy your time with friends and family, and live your best life. And then once I got to college, you're on your own now, basically. And I had to start figuring things out for my own. And not rely as much for my parents and other outside influences to make decisions for me or to help me with certain things. It's
Hmm.
basically go out there and figure it out on your own.
Something that you mentioned, you didn't have goals, you didn't have a purpose, lack of purpose. How did you how did you recognize those things were wrong? Because for X years of your life, you're doing them and probably didn't feel wrong, probably felt right, felt fine, felt good, say in some cases. But how did you recognize those things are wrong? How did your values, I guess, switch? Because that's what it sounds like. There was a switch in kind of beliefs or values.
Yeah, it was over time, waking up every day and feeling like my life is on a hamster wheel, where it's just going the same way every day. You get it at the same time.
Hmm.
You go do the same, going through the motions every day. And I woke up one day and I said, "There's got to be more than that. There's got to be more than this. This feeling of feeling empty, of feeling unhappy, of feeling that the question of why am I here? What is the purpose of all this? Why am I doing all this? Why am I putting myself through this?" And I had to take a deep dive into my own brain and my own life, my
Hmm.
past, to see, okay, why am I feeling like this? And what are some things that I'm going to instill now to move forward so I can live life with purpose when I wake up every day? I know why I'm getting up. I'm excited to get up. I don't want to live the same day twice. So it really came to a point where I said, I want to wake up tomorrow and be excited for new things to happen, for something unexpected to happen in my life. And that's what I look forward to. And to this day, that's what I look forward to now.
That word purpose has come up quite a few times already. I'm sure it will continue to do so throughout this conversation. And in 2018, the New York Times conducted this analysis about purpose, and they found that only one in every four Americans or respondents who were American felt that they had a strong sense of purpose, I believe it was. And yet another study from 2021 from Lifeway Research measured how often Americans think about purpose and meaning. And a majority, about 60%, thought about it at least monthly. And it's up from recent years, from a decade ago, I think it was comparing it to. And I feel like, as a society, we're starting to look up from the well-traveled path, the well-traveled road, and wondering how we got, like, how did we get here? Like, how did I get to this point in my life? And do I even want to be here? Was this even a conscious decision of mine? Or did I just kind of go through the motions, as you mentioned, and arrive here? But I think more and more people are starting to look up from that path and ask themselves the hard hitting questions like, is this what I want to be doing? As my voice just cracked. But yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people contend with, and it's hard because I don't think a lot of people. I think COVID also put into perspective meaning, but also mortality, as a lot of people lost loved ones. It's like, what is this? What it should be, or is this what it could be, or should be, or is it just what it is at the moment?
Yeah. And I think once you realize that life is finite and there is an
Hmm.
end, like that was another big thing for me was the fear of dying and the fear of death. It was a
Hmm.
fear that I had to overcome of being paranoid in certain situations too. I feel like for me personally, other people may agree with this too, but nowadays there's so many external um, external forces of information that are being thrown at your mind, whether it's social media, the news, things you see in your community, things you physically see going on in front of you,
Hmm.
is that I I'm a type of person that I'm always on basically like scanning my environment just to see what's going on around me. And I'm naturally a protector.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always, whenever I'm out with friends, family, or loved ones, I'm always paying attention to my surroundings and making sure that people around me are safe and that there's no funny business going on. So I think that's a part of it too, was that I was paranoid about a lot of things, thinking certain scenarios in my own head when it didn't even happen,
Yeah.
or playing out a scenario in my mind. If this did happen, how would I respond to this? It's a very primitive mindset,
Mm-hmm.
but it's something that I had to stop overthinking about it and say, okay, be prepared in certain situations. If something does happen, be prepared to protect yourself and your family, but you can't think about this nonstop and fear the outcome. And once you realize everything is finite, you start living your life like you really actually come to the realization when something happens to you or something happens to someone in your family, where you come to the realization that, okay, life is going to end at some point. Do I want to continue living the life that I'm living now and the certain things that I do every day? Do I want to continue to keep doing this, knowing that this is all going to end someday and I don't even know when it's going to end? It's basically like a ticking time bomb on your life. You don't know how much longer you have here. So why live it like you do have time?
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it, and that's what was part of the paradigm shift for me, was realizing that this all comes to an end at some point, and I'm a spiritual being living in a physical body. So my body will die someday, but spiritually I will move on to the next life. And I feel like that's what I'm preparing myself for here
Mm-hmm.
in reality.
Yeah, that's have you ever heard the phrase Memento Mori?
I don't know what it stands for, but I've heard it.
It's Latin for remember you must die. It's a lot to do with the Stoics, such as
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and a few other Seneca. But it's it's very true, and I have it part as like my screensaver too because it's I don't think I'm quite there yet where I actually realize like mortality, but I'm trying to get there closer. And I see this on Instagram with certain like trends and how most of them really aren't like depth. And it's supposed to be like memento mori, like live in the moment. And that's not what it's saying. Memento mori is about being your best self today. Don't put off what you want to do today for tomorrow because tomorrow's like a figment of the imagination. It's not yet in existence. If you want to start that business, if you want to start that channel, if you want to quit that job and pursue something meaningful, or just do anything, mend a relationship. This is probably what most people can relate to actually. Mend that relationship, reach out to that person, that family member, that old friend, and try to rekindle what was once had. It's to do it today, not wait till tomorrow, because today's certainties are tomorrow's uncertainties, and that's kind of what it points to. It's about being your best self today, and that's from what you're saying. I think that kind of go hand in hand. Of not taking today for granted.
Yeah, 100%. And to that point is, we all think, people in the younger age groups, anyone between 18 to 30, really, we
Mm-hmm.
think that we have all this time, and we don't. We don't
Yeah.
have we don't have time. We don't own it. We like you said, try and be your best self that you can possibly be today, and don't wait for a certain time to start anything. If you want to start a fitness journey, if you want to start a business, if you want to start changing your habits in life, the best time to start is right now, because it also plays off your energy too. If you're
Mm-hmm.
inspired by something, it floods you with energy, and you are more likely to start a new habit or new business, whatever it may be, if you act off that energy that you
Mm-hmm.
got from being inspired by something. So never wait for the perfect time to start something. There is no perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
There is no, one day you wake up and there's a gift wrapped box on your front porch that says, "This is what you've been waiting
Mm-hmm.
for all this time. We finally given it to you. Here it is." It doesn't happen like that. And it's really just getting started on anything
Mm-hmm.
and taking it one day at a time, and realize that we are not perfect human beings. Don't try and be perfect. Just try and be better than you were yesterday. It seems so simple, but it is. Don't put too much on yourself. Don't overwork yourself. Don't stress yourself out too much overthinking things. Just take it one small step at a time, and over time, whatever you do is going to compound on top of each other, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
stack up brick by brick, and you'll over time you'll build an empire.
And how does that relate to, kind of switching gears a little bit, to like financial development? How does one who views, saving for retirement, or kind of preparing, as we just talked about, how you don't have tomorrow, and I'm skipping to retirement, but the
Yeah,
the point is preparing and being ready for moments, obviously. But how do you suggest, when people look at, saving for retirement, and how I think it's so true that you point out people who are probably 18 to 30. I mean, I feel this myself, that time is something that is in like a surplus of, but it's really not. It's fleeting by the moment. So some people, including I should be a little more involved in this as well. So this is a question for me. But how does one really set themselves up for success when it comes to retirement, or just saving for the long term, to protect their family and protect what they have, so they're not, find themselves in this position?
yeah. I'll start off with this, that you need to have a plan, and you need to certainly do your due diligence for yourself. Not saying you need to become an expert in
Mm-hmm.
finance or whatever field it may be, but definitely do your due diligence and figure out a plan, and consult with a few people within the financial services industry, um, to create that plan for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, sorry.
No worries.
But yeah, create that plan.
Mm-hmm.
Create a plan. Everyone's different. Everyone's goals are different. So consult with someone within the financial services industry and figure out financially what would work best for you. Go through all the options. Go through the different options for saving for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Weigh your goal. What are your goals for retirement? Because that plays in a lot for saving for retirement. Everyone has different goals,
Yeah.
whether that may be retiring and moving to a different state, different country, and living there, doing whatever you want. I mean, everyone's different, but certainly be clear on your goals, construct a plan, consult with someone within the financial services industry, multiple people. Don't just talk to one person, and do your due diligence on money, finance, investing, um, saving your money, growing your money, everything, all the basics. Just have an idea of, if you're sitting down and talking to someone who works within financial services, for example, a financial advisor, and they're explaining to you where they're putting your money. If you have no clue what these words that they're saying, what they're saying to you, or anything along that nature, you're going to be lost and be like, you take care of it, just handle it. And I think you should have a hand in there, and a say of, you understand what this person is talking to you about, and then you're going back and forth, asking questions, weighing the pros and cons, and diversifying yourself. So that would be my starting ground for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's very like actionable advice. And one of the things to point to, that's not a secret, that this secret to success regarding that, or it's not a one size fit all. People have different goals. Some people may want to retire later. Some people may want to retire when they're closer to 70, others 50. Obviously, that's gonna be a different approach. So I think that's definitely good to point out, and can get people like thinking like. And I think a good question too is like, how late do you want to like work? Because for me, at least how I personally view it, like I don't know if I want to quote like retire. I hope when I get there, like I want to keep pursuing things that I find meaningful throughout like my life, and I want that to earn me an income as well. And with
Right.
that, I don't see that just stopping and going to that island and sipping that pina colada for the rest of like my days, or
Yeah.
going to the golf course, even though I suck at golf and I don't really care to improve myself there either because I also don't enjoy it. But I should. I like early mornings. I like being outside, but I just don't like golf. Neither here nor there. But yeah, I think asking people and people asking themselves like, where do you want to be, and what do you want your life to look like near that age of quote unquote retirement, could definitely get you somewhere because that could dictate how much to save right now, how much you need to save, and where to put that money, and everything along those lines.
Yeah. And I'll say too, for everything I just mentioned, if you're sitting there saying, well, I don't know what my goals are, I don't have a
Hmm.
plan set in place for what my retirement life is going to look like, I don't know what I want it to look like yet. Here's an exercise for you: sit down in your room, wherever, a nice outside, a quiet place, and close your eyes and just visualize for around 10 to 15 minutes. Just visualize in your head, start talking to yourself, saying, okay, if I were to have my dream house, what would it look like? And picture yourself walking through your dream house. What does your bathroom look like? What does your closet look like? What does your bed look like? How big is your bed? What does your kitchen look like? Do you have a pool? Do you have a basketball court? What kind of cars do you drive? Sitting down and visualizing these things in your mind, not only do they help give you the belief that these things can become reality because you're already putting that image into your head,
Hmm.
but if you know that's what you want, then when you wake up every day and you go to work and you go to do what you need to do, close your eyes for a second and remember that image of, this is what my backyard is going to look like. This is what my pool is going to look like. This is the car I'm going to drive. Whatever they may not be materialistic things for you, but close your eyes and visualize what you want your life to look like
Hmm.
in 10 years, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. You have to plan it for yourself.
And
And
no, continue.
yeah, no, go ahead. I was finished up.
I was just say how that's in stark contrast of years prior. Before the 20th century, all the way to not too long ago, you had a pension. You put the money was put into there each month for you for retirement. You didn't really have to worry about these things, and life was, I think, a lot more like, things are a lot more in place. You could get a house at a reasonable price with decent interest rates, and now put the house aside, but it's like one's most likely largest asset.
Yep.
Put that aside. It's more so like there's a lot of uncertainty. It's very like precarious. Like there's another survey I was looking at by, what was it? I just look at, oh, it was Craft Jack, which is just a marketing agency, but they were asking people, surveying people, and 60% of people, this was going into 2023, thought they could not afford a house right now. I can't imagine that number not increasing as interest rates have consistently rose. And then also 1 in 4 people didn't believe that they will ever be able to afford a house. And I think that's speaking to, we're approaching a time where where success, and not even success, but there's this growing disparity of just lower socioeconomic classes and higher, and the middle class, as people have been saying this for years. This isn't anything original, but people have been saying for years, the middle class is dissipating. It's disappearing. No longer there.
Yep.
Some people are getting more money, less, not too many, and then other people are getting less money. And it's like salary, like quality or inequality has like shrinking, but wealth inequality has increased by quite a bit. And there's a
Yeah.
good distinction knowing that there, what that is. And I was wondering, what have you seen with that? What do you believe about that? And how do you really contend with that as someone in the financial industry?
Yeah, I certainly do see it. Number one, you certainly do see the wealth gaps becoming wider
Mm-hmm.
and sort of like you mentioned, the dissipation of the middle class. Um, it's sort of becoming the reason a lot of this is happening is because inflation continues to go up over the years, and the prices of all your major, real estate,
Mm-hmm.
um, all your major expenses. So your rent or your mortgage, your cars, any loans that you have, student debt. Student debt is another big one.
Yeah.
To connect with what you were saying about the millennials and Gen Z, a lot of them saying that they don't think that they'll ever be able to buy a home is because they see the amount of debt that they're in, and they're constantly trying to get out of the hole. And with paying these high interest rates, excuse me, paying these high interest rates, you can never get ahead. You're
Yeah.
always just like keeping your head above water. So I think that's what plays into it a lot too, is that people realize, okay, how long is it going to take me to pay off this debt? I have all these things I need to pay for. I'm not my 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 salary is not increasing. That's another big problem too, is that you see inflation and the prices of all these expenses going up, and you see salaries sort of hovering. Maybe in different industries, they will go up at different rates, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, it's not keeping up with inflation. And that's where that gap is becoming wider and wider and wider, because the people that are wealthy either have, you know, jobs that are paying them multiple six figures, and or they run a business,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it may be. And then you have the 9 to 5 employee that, goes to work every day, does their job, comes home and does whatever. So it's hard, and I'm cautiously optimistic. Keyword cautiously
Mm-hmm.
optimistic, because we are the next leaders of the next generation to come.
Mm-hmm.
But within the millennials and the Gen Z, we are going to be the ones that, if we see a problem, we need to create the solution and not complain about all our problems and everything that we disagree with our employer, with our community, with our school and our education systems. If we see a problem, we need to come together and address the issue and say, okay, how can we change this moving forward? What can we do individually? You may not be able to get much done, but together, collectively, as a group of people in your community, a group of coworkers, your voice matters, and you will be surprised. And it takes courage, and it takes being brave to be able to step up and speak up about something that you
Yeah.
believe in if something is going wrong. So if you see a problem, don't complain about it, and rely on someone else to fix it. Come together, share ideas, and find a solution. If you can't find one, create one. Make something work. Make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
Speak up about it. But overall, cautiously optimistic, and I hope that this next generation of leaders can step up and say, things have been this way for so long. We need to innovate. We need to change up certain policies and rules and payment structures and benefits. Like, different everything needs to be constantly being improved, or
Mm-hmm.
else, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah. And I think that's why you're starting to see some more radicalizations on both sides of the political spectrum. The left with a rise towards like full fledged, say, socialism, and then on the right, more so just I won't say fascism 'cause it's not exactly fascism. It's more or less authoritarianism. Actually, it's just they want someone that both sides don't like the corruption, but they have
Yep.
very different. I mean, both sides. I mean, like the people on like I would say on the far left and far right would both like if you ask them, do you like say the swamp in DC and do you like say corruption? No one would be like, yeah, I like what's going on these backdoor
Right.
deals and but their solutions become are more radical and that could be quite dangerous too when you just think of on historical context of people who want to tear down systems and completely start anew and not to say there's not major reform needed but I think the people at the top are not realizing that if you keep pushing and things keep getting worse for the majorities and pluralities of people there's going to be an answer for that. Yeah, that was like Trump in it. That's what I would say and have said like that was Trump in a sense, like an answer to the political elite on both sides. It's not just a Democrat. He was a Republican who won, but the Republicans, the establishment, did not really care for him whatsoever. But they had to run with him. He was like their guy for the nomination. But and obviously not the Democrats enjoyed him either. But that was like a response to like Washington elites that people felt like don't care about you, that will sometimes blame you for the problems. And I think people are starting to kind of vote more on the right or more on the left because they're so sick of like quote quote like corporate s Democrats and the establishment Republicans who really don't do much for them and they don't feel it. And I understand that sentiment. I agree with it to a large degree, but it's like I may disagree with their answers to it. And yeah, I think that's why you're seeing like kind of these like more radical solutions or more radical kind of sentiment being put forward.
Yeah, and I think the issue with that is a lack of communication,
Hmm.
like I was just mentioning with people in your community, people on opposite political parties. If you
Yeah.
have differing opinions, why can't you sit down and have a conversation that doesn't turn into an argument, but say, okay, I respect your time and I respect your opinion. I'm going to let you talk and then I'll talk. And then we'll say, okay, well, why do you feel that way? Okay, well, why do you feel that way?
Hmm.
It's communication without the, for lack of a better term, like going right for like the throat, like
Yeah,
right
the
for the
vitriol.
cutthroat kill. It's
Yeah.
like take a deep breath and let's sort of try and solve these problems together because okay, you may be on this side of the spectrum political party wise, and someone else may be over here, but at the end of the day, you're both human beings. You most likely live in the same area. Why can't we come to an agreement on what works better for the community, what benefits me and you without taking away from both of us?
Hmm.
And these come down to obviously, there's always a push and shove to each decision or scenario or policy or rule change, whatever it may be. But more communication, more being open minded and not go at it within the mindset of like I'm I'm right and no one else is going to tell me that I'm wrong.
Hmm.
There's a phrase for it. I think it's cognitive dissonance where you basically are so like stuck on an idea where anything that anyone says to you doesn't matter because you're already set on that's what you believe. So it's really just being more open minded and having
Yeah.
conversations with people in your community. Just literally, it's easy as holding the door for someone and smiling. That is something that is not only making you a better person by doing the right thing,
Hmm.
but it's the small acts like that are just dissipating because people feel like everyone hates them. People feel like
Hmm.
they have so much. They look across from someone and they don't even have a conversation with them, but they automatically think that because this person is a different skin color than me, or this person is a different religious background than me, they automatically don't like
Or wearing a shirt.
me. Yeah, you can't judge someone if you've never met them, if you've never had a conversation with them. That's the natural human instinct to just judge, but stop it. Stop that judgment because you don't know. You're categorizing people without even having a conversation with them or getting to know them. And people will be surprised with if you open up and have a conversation with a stranger, you may have a lot more in common than you would have thought. But so many people are too afraid to speak up that they keep their mouth shut, and that is part of the problem, is
Mm.
that so many people have those judgments of other people without getting to know them, and that's where that the pot starts to stir up, and the hatred, it's too much hatred, not enough love being spread around.
Yeah. And to tie that into like just what you're saying with holding the door, say even greeting someone with a good morning as you pass them. I will say, like, when I try to do those things, there are often times where the person just doesn't acknowledge you. Even with the door, they'll just walk right past you. Or you say
Absolutely.
good morning, and you could say they don't hear you, which could be the case, but it could not be either. But that doesn't make you feel any better when like you like try to be nice that day. And what I will say, and something I learned from meditations, Marcus Aurelius, is it's not about the outcome. Like you shouldn't do it because of that response. It's the response is nice and it's appreciated, but you should do it because it's the right thing to do. If you saw someone fall, elderly person, you help them up, you would want them to say thank you and be grateful, but you shouldn't do it on that contingency that they say thank you and are grateful. And that's how I just try to view things in general. And people, and this is so much harder said than done, but I try to actively do it in my daily life, is just because someone rubs you the wrong way or say offends you or does something, slights you, doesn't give you the right to treat other people any less because of your, things that happen to you maybe that day. You're just having a bad day. You don't
Yeah.
have the right to take it out on the service worker because your boss yelled at you. It's projecting a cycle of just kind of hate and contempt and resentment towards other people. And for community wise, I think that's really crucial to build like a community where people feel comfortable just saying hi to one another.
Yeah. And I feel like so many of nowadays in this country, we've sort of become entitled in a way
Hmm.
to think that, oh, our life is so hard and we have it so bad because
Yeah.
someone cut you off in traffic, because you had to stay at work an hour later than you usually do. We're in the United States of America. This is a free country. You get the opportunity to get up and go to work every day. You don't have to do anything. It's all opportunities. So you don't have it that bad. There are people that have it way worse than you. And this is something that I had to tell myself too, because I was
Mhm.
complaining about petty little things and petty little issues that, no, they're not that big. They're not that, it's not the end of the world. Stop complaining about it and move on. You're wasting your energy on something that is not giving you any return on investment.
Mhm.
You're just making yourself more and more angry and having a negative mindset.
And
And to your
yeah,
point,
continue.
with the little things of, I feel like nowadays, especially within the past 3 years, stemming from the pandemic and all the lockdowns and everything, so many people feel isolated and lonely nowadays because we learned how to do things through technology, and people feel lonely. So the little things like that, holding the door, a good morning, just even if you just smile at someone,
Mhm.
or helping a older person cross the street, helping them with their groceries, little things like that, they may not seem big in the moment, but it goes a long way because, like you said, you never know what that person is going through in their life. If they're having a bad day, you could be that spark to make them feel better, to help them.
Yeah.
And that's what, for me, that's what gives me the most fulfillment, is giving back to other people, helping other people, the small kind acts, doing the right thing. And then someone says to you, thank you so much, you made my day. Words cannot describe how that makes me feel when someone says that to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than any amount of money that I would make me feel. Any I can't describe it. That's what I love, and that's what I try and promote more of that
Mm-hmm.
within my family, within my community, friends, people that I surround myself with. So
Yeah,
little things that matter, but a lot of people overlook them.
for sure. And I think it's hard to do that. I think people nowadays confuse kindness with weakness, and there's a difference. The difference is, and some Jordan Peterson speaks on quite a bit before, is that weakness is when you have no option. It's like you have to do it because you're being told, and there's no opportunity. Like it's like a rabbit. It's a rabbit's cute, but it's weak. It's very vulnerable to its environment. And kindness and strength comes from the option, the capability to be mean, to be rude, to be harmful, to be dangerous, but actively choosing not to because you know it's not the right thing to do. And that's like the difference. In my opinion, it would be easy and it's very impulsive when you hold a door and someone like doesn't say thank you, but like, yeah, you're welcome, by the way. It's like right there. It's right on the tip of my tongue. It's hard not to say that. It's hard to be kind. It's very difficult. And you should do it not because you should be like we said, you should be doing the things such as holding the door, being kind, because it's not easy, or it's not for the payback, not for the thank you, but because it's just the right thing to do. And it's the little things, as you mentioned, that I really liked and really enjoyed. And I wrote this down before, is one good action, one good little thing that you provide to someone has unlimited or unlimited amount of good that it can spark. One act of good can spark unlimited amount of good that is produced from it, because you have no idea what someone's going through. You have no idea how just words make people feel appreciated. And I think that's really important to kind of just let that detonate in people's heads, because it's easy to be cold and rude, but it takes strength on a daily basis to really put yourself in that moment and put your best foot forward.
Yeah, I agree, and I think too. Excuse me, but people are always watching you and what you do. People that are the people in your family, number one, um, they're always watching, and then your employer, your boss, your um, your significant other, whoever it is, people are always watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're at work and you want to get promoted to another position, but you keep complaining with the position that you're at, you keep complaining, you keep doing the minimum amount of work that you need to do just to get paid, your boss notices that, compared to the man or woman that says, okay, this is how much I get paid for doing this, but I'm gonna be I'm gonna do a little bit extra just to show that I care, that I put in the detail. I'm very detailed with what I do. I do more than I get paid for, so that soon I can get paid for more than what I do. And it's not I'm not saying this in a way of like do everything for everyone, but do it in a way where you're showing that you're doing a little bit more than what you're getting paid for, but you're not doing it to the point where you're letting people take advantage of you or you're getting walked all over. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So there's a fine line between that. But if you're looking for another opportunity, you need to upgrade your identity of who you are. And I'm going through this process right now of realizing, like, okay, if I want more, I want to be more, I have to do more to upgrade my identity and my character, my morals and values, and strengthen all these things. And they may be high, but if you're not where you want to be yet, it's because you're still missing some pieces of the puzzle, which
Mm-hmm.
is perfectly fine because that's the journey. As you go throughout the journey, you learn from your experiences, you learn from other people, and you connect the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's how you grow. So it's the small things do matter. And if you can never do the little things right, how will you expect to do the big things right if you were rewarded with something, a
Mm-hmm.
large amount of money, a bonus? You got promoted to a new job where you're taking on all these new roles, but if you're not prepared for that, it's going to come crashing down. So make sure you do the small things and the little things correctly so your identity will allow you to be able to have the responsibility to take care of the big things.
Yeah. And what are some of the mechanisms that you have utilize to upgrade your character, your identity, who you see in the mirror, who you believe you are as a person, both personally and financially?
Yeah, it's a constant process. It's not you do it once and you figure
Yeah.
it out. So the first is the ABCs of growing your identity. It stands for, the A stands for associations. So who you associate with, people that you hang out with, the influences that you get, who are you having certain conversations with? Are they positive? Are they negative? The B is stands for books. The books that you read, the information that you bring in, the type of personal development books that you're reading, the self-care books, the books that are informative on money and finance, on history, on anything that you are interested in. What are you putting in your mind that's helping you increase your identity? And then the C stands for conferences, connections, networking events. Who are you meeting? Who are you going and shaking hands with, introducing yourself, building rapport, exchanging business cards,
Mm-hmm.
helping each other with referrals. Like, these are all things that you can constantly go throughout the ABCs of upgrading your identity to, and this stems to my next point, use that to reinvent yourself. Every couple months, I like to sit down and say, okay, when is the last time you've reinvented yourself? When is the last time you've changed up? Maybe you picked up a couple bad habits. When is the last time you focused on changing these and really focusing down on the things that you know in your mind that you need to change, but you haven't done it yet? And if you do change for the better, what will the different areas of your life look like, and how will they be impacted in a positive way?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really as simple as that. Who you associate with, the books that you read, and the conferences that you attend, that's how you upgrade your identity right there. It's speaking with like-minded people, like the conversations that we're having right now. We each bring something different to the table. We're bringing value to value. That's what I focus on a daily basis. I don't want to just sit down and hang out and talk to you about gossip and stuff that's going on
Yeah.
in our neighborhood or in our city or whatever it may be. I want to talk about what is something that I learned of value that I can share with you so you can implement it into your life and make your life better as well. And then same thing for me. If I give you something, I expect you to give me something in return. So we're constantly just sharing value with each other and we're helping each other out. It's not a one man or one woman show here. You're in this together with other people, and you need to be that support cast for each other.
Mm-hmm. We talked about just now, reinventing yourself, kind of finding out who you could be as like an individual. And then we also touched on community, being a face in the community, doing what's right because it's easy, but because it's what you should be doing. But how does becoming an individual, truly yourself, and not a reflection of the people you say hang around with or your work, how does that align and slash or clash with social belonging, feeling that you belong to something, someone? How do those things compare and contrast? What's the dichotomy there?
Well, that's a great question. And it's tough because there's certain people in your life that you know don't benefit you in a positive way. People that always drain your energy. They're always complaining. They're always coming to you, and you're sort of the person that they like to rant to, which that's okay to a point. You have to know, like, is this person, are they complaining to me because they actually want me to help them find a solution to what they're complaining about? Or
Mm-hmm.
are they just complaining to me because they want someone to listen? Okay. I'm a very direct, straight up, no sugarcoating. That's the type of individual I am. And the people closest to me know that, because when they come to me with an issue or a problem, yeah, I will feel sympathy if something happened to you, and I will be there for you and support you no matter what. But I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you the truth. If there's facts that support it, I'm going to state the facts. And I'm not going to sit here and have a pity party with you, because that doesn't solve anything. And I expect the same thing. People handle it in different ways, but there's certain people that I know I can go to say, okay, if I'm having an issue with this person's going to be honest with me and tell me straight up, am I overthinking? Am I doing too much here? They're going to be honest with me. So find those people in your life, the people that you can have those tough conversations with you, that are there to help you find a solution, and then realize, okay, some of these people over here, they may be draining my energy. They may be impacting me in a negative way. They're not helping me change this habit of drinking too much. If there's someone that you hang out with all the time, and if you're someone who's trying to stop drinking or slow down on your drinking, and you hang out with that one friend who wants to drink every single day or every weekend, is that benefiting you in a positive or negative way? The answer's up to you, and then the choice is yours to make that decision on whether you want to continue that relationship with that person or not. Because sometimes some things and some people need to be left behind. If you want to continue to really actually see growth in your life, there's certain people that you're going to have to leave behind.
I think
That's
that
just the reality of it.
mhm. I think
Yeah,
that's yeah, it's just that's a harder truth to digest
there is.
than to say, especially when it comes to like family or close friends. But
It's
you
so
mentioned
hard.
like yeah, most people probably have like one or two people that would come to mind. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I think what you're saying is right. It's just it's very complicated. It takes a lot to kind of. I think there's also not one thing between distancing yourself and another thing to like completely cut yourself off from that person. Both of which may be necessary depending on everyone's like individual case. Like I think for me personally, distancing myself isn't terribly difficult, but cutting someone off in a way is could be quite difficult. Even I don't think that's necessary. Thankfully, family, friends in my life, I've got to a point like structure it where I have a really good group of people I met in college, people I still stay in contact from home, and also family, of course. But I could definitely just think like of years past where it wasn't always like that.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And like you said, It's complicated. There's no script that you can
Mm-hmm.
read of like, okay, they meet these certain criteria. I'm gonna cut them off. Like it doesn't.
That was my next question. This is the
Oh,
script.
okay, well, go
No, I'm
ahead. Go
kidding.
ahead.
No, I'm kidding. That was it.
Oh,
I
okay, okay.
but I got no, I think that's a good point. It's a necessary one at that. And I want to fit in an audience question in here too, because otherwise I'll simply forget. But one thing that someone asked was, what would you say to someone who started a little late retire or saving for retirement, and now they're trying to make up on their lost time, but they're not exactly sure how?
Yeah, it's tough if you feel like you're behind. You feel like you've lost time or you wasted time. The first thing you need to do is get over that. Get over that perception of yourself and being stuck in that mindset of I'm behind and I wasted time. You need to get over that because if you constantly are thinking that day in and day out, it's going to drain everything from you, drain your energy. It's going to drain you. So get over that. You need to get past that and create a plan for yourself moving forward. Everything in life and is systems, planning, strategizing, being very detailed about what you want. So there'll be often times with myself where if I feel stagnant in life and personal development and business, just over in my relationships, I feel like nothing is growing. I sit down with myself, I grab a pen and paper, and I just start writing down my plans. What do I want? What do I want? Okay. What am I going to do on a daily basis to get there? If something's going to take me 3 months, if I'm going to set a time frame of, okay, within 3 months, I'll keep it simple. Within 3 months, I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay. I start strategizing. So my goal is lose 10 pounds in 3 months. Okay, what do I need in order to lose 10 pounds? I need a consistent exercise regimen, routine. I need to eat a lot more clean. So I may need to track how much I'm eating. So these are all things that I'm writing down. I know that I need to do. Okay, writing all these things down. And then on a daily basis, what can I do on a daily basis to make sure that I'm hitting on all my goals and all the things that I said that I was going to do? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat only 3 meals of XYZ and no snack at bedtime. I'm going to drink a gallon of water. All these things that you know, if you don't know the answers, use your do your due diligence, do your research. There's this one thing, it's really cool. It's called Google, and you can basically look up whatever you want. And then there's also something really cool if you don't like reading. There's something called YouTube where you can basically look up a video of virtually any topic that you want to learn about. Take advantage of these things. Make a list, write it down, stick to it, and be consistent. Because for me, being consistent is the greatest version of you is the disciplined version of you. And this goes for everybody. The greatest version of anyone is the disciplined version of you. And it's all about being consistent. And for someone that feels like they're behind or they feel like they're losing, they lost time, they lost out on making money, you got to get over it and you have to make a plan now. Don't wait. You already know you're behind. So why are you waiting? Construct a plan now on how you're going to move forward physically, mentally, personal development, financially, saving for retirement, whatever it may be. You need to have a plan and use resources like Google, YouTube, reach out to people that are experts in whatever field that you're looking to improve on. There's so much information out there and help out there that you can get, but a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So you need to open your mouth and start searching for it, and the universe will reward you with what you're looking for.
And as we start to wrap up here, first I want to appreciate insights you offered, the conversation we had. I like these meaningful conversations. They're even though I haven't done one in quite some time regarding debates, I was gonna say it's a nice refreshment from like when I feel I'm going to a conversation with someone I'm gonna like disagree with pretty extensively, which are gonna come up soon for the people listening. I'm sure. I actually
Yeah,
want to integrate those more in again because they can be fun, but there's a lot of things going on there. But as we wrap up here, I do want to ask you one last question, which is what is one lesson you would never want people to forget?
yeah. First of all, thank you for everything. I love these conversations. I think that sharing value with each other is very important. And for other people that may be listening to, um, like we mentioned earlier, it's the little things. And hopefully, someone has taken got some value from what we discussed today and learned a few things. That's the whole goal of, I think for both
Hmm.
of us, why we like using our voice for spreading value and meaningful information. So thank you. I appreciate you, Dan. But one thing I would say to never lose sight of is when you're going through a hard time, when it's very dark for you, times are tough, you feel like your life is over. You feel like you're lost. You're not going to get through what you're going through right now. Just remember every time in your life, and you may be going through one right now that's worse than any of the other ones that you've experienced, realize that you've always gotten through it because you've never given up. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel if you continue to keep pushing forward and not throw in the towel. The moment that you give up, the moment that there is a 100% chance that you will fail, that you will not get through what you're going through because you stopped. But there is a chance, a very highly likely one, that if you continue moving forward, you will get through whatever you're going through. I firmly believe that. It may take time. It probably will take time. And everyone is different. So if you're out there and you're going through something right now in your life, just know that time heals everything. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel if you choose not to give up on yourself and not quit. And that's what I'll leave you with right there.
Appreciate it, man. And appreciate everyone tuning in today. As you said, Ryan, I think and hope that people had some kind of utility takeaway from it because that's the whole reason I think why we have these conversations and hence record them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Much
Of
appreciated, brother.
course. Yeah. Take care, guys.